Hi, Charles. How are you this morning?
I'm great, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Are you going to buy the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor fight?
Probably not. I don't think it's going to be a good fight. So I'm probably not going to buy it. You know, normally if I thought it was going to be a good fight, I would go. But I don't think another guy can just pick up another pro sport and beat one of the greatest boxers ever. So I'm probably not going to buy it.
Best fight you attended was what?
Hagler Hearns in Las Vegas back in the day. That's probably the best one, probably the best short fight in the history of boxing. So that's probably my favorite one I've been to. I've been to probably 100 of them. I'm going to the Triple G Canelo fight. I wouldn't miss that one. I think that's got a chance of being spectacular. But listen, you can't pick up another guy's sport and think you're going to beat the best. That's just impossible.
We've talked about a variety of things this morning. We did want to look back on the Dream Team as 25 years ago yesterday. You guys won the gold medal. Does it feel like it was 25 years ago?
It doesn't, but but Dan, it brings back so many great memories. Just being around those guys for a month or so, and how unselfish everybody was, and how well we got along. I think that was probably. I tell people we never had an issue. You know, Chuck Daly had 2 starting lineups. Nobody ever complained. And just the unselfishness of those guys, especially in light of what we have going on in the NBA today, where guys don't want to play with other great players, which you got to be like, you're kidding me, right? You want to play with other great players. The notion that you want your own team is so silly and stupid. Like, I just don't understand this generation. Like, you want to play with other great players. It just makes the game easier. I mean, why would you not want to play with LeBron James? Who cares who gets all the credit? I mean, you get credit by winning. You make them a lot of money. It's just interesting how the dynamics of this game has changed, where guys more worried about their brand than they are just like, the objective of this thing is to win.
But do you have more respect then for Durant, who's willing to admit, hey, I want to win a championship, I'm going to Golden State, and I don't have a problem being the second or third guy or second or third option, whereas Kyrie's saying, hey, I'm done with I'm playing the little brother to the big brother here. I want to be out on my own.
Well, I wasn't down with Kevin Durant because, first of all, they had a better team. Oklahoma City had a better team than the Warriors. And I think you've heard Iguodala even said the last couple of years, Oklahoma City Thunder, they were the best team in the NBA. So I didn't agree with Kevin going to Golden State. But I don't understand how, I don't understand this Kyrie situation at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a terrific player. He's playing with LeBron. I mean, what do you mean you want to be the big brother? First of all, you were the big brother. Y'all won 20 games. You were the big brother. Y'all won 20 games. It's hard to do this thing by yourself. I've been a one-man band.
Yeah.
I look at guys like Allen Iverson's been a one-man band. You want as much help as possible because the objective, to get through the gauntlet of the NBA playoffs, you have to have some firepower.
A couple of things. When I go back to the 25th anniversary of the Dream Team, and I don't know if it was more fun on the floor or off the floor. It felt like it might have been equal. Maybe you had more fun off the court than you did on the court during that run.
That's a great question. I tell you, Dan, no, it was so easy playing with those guys. It's kind of interesting. I'm not comparing myself to any of these guys, but I want to make the point. Like, when I got to Phoenix, the game, I won MVP, and I was a much better player in Philadelphia. I just didn't have enough help. And when I got to Phoenix, I got Dan Marley, Kevin Johnson, and Mark West, and Oliver Miller and Seth Sabat, those guys, and it was just easy for me. Same thing, you saw that this year with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's not a better player. He's just got those other guys that makes it look easy. So the point I'm trying to make is when you're lobbing the ball to Scottie Pippen instead of Shelton Jones, you're a lot better player. You know, and that's not a knock on Shelton Jones.
Well,
I like
yeah,
Shelton,
it is.
But yeah. No. Trust me. When we ran a fast break, and I just threw it up in the air, and Scottie Pippen dunked it. I would never thought about doing that. Passing the ball to David Robinson and Patrick Ewing on a pick and roll is a little bit different than passing it to Manute Bol.
If you had Scotty and Michael didn't, what would have happened?
If I had Scotty,
yeah,
Scotty was a terrific all-around basketball player. I tell people, him and Horace Grant were the best two defenders. I hated playing against those guys because when they double-team you, you had no room for error.
But if I switched Phoenix, if I switch you and Jordan, and you were on the Bulls and he was on Phoenix, who wins the championship?
Well, I think we win a championship. I mean, you remember, I don't, they had John Paxson, who obviously put the dagger in our heart, but I thought Horace Grant, to me, is one of the most underrated players. People take him for granted. Because if you remember, when he went to Orlando, they beat the Bulls. So I always thought Horace Grant was underrated, really good players in the archives of the NBA.
Charles Barkley, Hall of Famer, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Mark Cuban said Colin Kaepernick would have been on a team by now if he was an NBA player.
Well, it's all hypothetical. I think what Colin has done has been awesome. I think his cause is terrific, but there are ramifications, and he's paying for those. For every action, there's a reaction. I mean, you look at the greatest athlete of all time, Muhammad Ali. When he didn't go in the draft, there were ramifications. He didn't get to fight. He didn't get to fight for 3 years. So, as noble as what Colin is doing, and it's very noble, but there are consequences. Like I say, you think about the greatest ever, Ali. He took his stance, but he didn't get to fight for 3 years. So, for every action, there is a reaction, and it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But when you take a stance on certain things, there is a price to pay. It's that simple.
Yeah, and, there's nothing wrong with disagreeing what Colin Kaepernick did if you're an owner of an NFL team. I think that we look at Kaepernick, what he did. He understood that there was a risk that he was taking. I don't know if he wants to play anymore. It almost feels like he likes being that martyr that he can't get on a roster. I haven't heard anything from him that says, I can't wait to play. This is what I want to do. This is, I don't even know what the bigger picture is. And maybe it is this cause than it is playing.
Dan, first of all, you have a great point. If Colin called me and he's not, number one, what I would do if I was him, I would sit there, I would do one interview, a sit-down interview, because I don't think I've heard – when's the last time you heard something from him? Like, I can't remember the last time I've heard words come out of his mouth. You got people, so we're in this, this might be the stupidest generation of journalism in the history of civilization, Dan. We got guys arguing on, like, I'm watching certain networks, and you got these idiots on there talking about, what does LeBron mean when he tweeted this? And I'm like, you guys need to really get a life.
I told you to stop watching those shows.
You know what? I'm trying to catch up on highlights. I got to watch. Man, let me tell you something. It's getting ready, close to football just starting. I got to know what's going on with the training camps and everything, and then the baseball playoffs are heating up. So that's the only reason I'm watching. I don't want to sit around and guy says, well, this guy tweeted this. He said this, but this is what he really meant. And I'm like, come on, man. You guys are a bunch of damn idiots. I mean, this generation of news journalism is just crazy. But the point I was trying to make is, Colin Kaepernick, I have not heard a word from him in probably over a year. So I don't know if he wants to play. Everybody's saying, well, and I do think there is some blackballing going on, but I wish he would do one sit-down interview Don't be tweeting because everybody I tell people one reason I don't do social media is, number one, I don't want to talk to all these damn idiots out there. But also, I love when people tell me what I meant to say. No, you asked me what I said. I'll tell you what the hell I want to say. Don't try to parse my words. But I wish he would do a sit-down. Dan, you would be a great person to have him in studio one day and just talk to him for an hour and let him say what he wants to say. But he needs to say something because I'm tired of people trying to speak for this kid.
One other thing here is, and we're talking about Josh Rosen, the UCLA quarterback, and wide-ranging interview with Bleacher Report. But if I said to you when you were in college at Auburn that you could major in being an athlete, and with that came understanding you take a business class, picking an agent, finances, balancing a checkbook, public speaking, would you have majored in being an athlete or majored in basketball if they allowed you to do that?
Well, the problem I had with the whole Josh Rosen thing is, number one, he's on top of the food chain, Dan. So he don't have to worry about getting an education and things like that. See, this is my biggest problem when these people get on TV talking about amateurism and they're using these kids. The whole system is kind of out of whack. But most of these kids going to have to get real jobs. They need an education. Josh Rosen going to be a number one pick. He can just go to class. He can just go there and play football. But what about, I always worry about the other 99%, especially the black players. What are these other black players who ain't going to be a number one draft pick, who ain't never going to play a pro sport? One thing I get offended about the black community is we don't value education. Yeah. Like I say, is the system flawed? Of course the system is flawed. But I don't want some rich white kid who's going to be a number one draft pick talking about we wasting our time. Well, most of those kids aren't wasting those times. Most of those kids need that free education to be successful in life. And he might be a nice kid, but let me tell you something. I don't want any rich white kid telling black kids, no, don't worry about this stuff. Just come here and play football. Those kids ain't got no chance of going to the NFL. Those kids need that education. So even though he got some point, but man, I don't want any rich white kid who's going to be 1, 2, or 3 in the draft. I saw that list last week telling these young black kids, no, just come here and play football. And then after 4 years, they ain't got no education, and they ain't never going to step foot in the NFL. I hate that message.
Calm down. Good to talk to you. Get ready for
football. My brother, you take care of yourself, man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Charles.
And when you got the courage to come back out to Tahoe and play in the tournament, come on, I'll get you in.
Dude, I just got my knee replaced. That's why I didn't come out there this year.
Well, how about this? How about next summer?
I might do it. The Hall of Fame asked for my knee. Springfield asked for my knee. I had my knee replaced.
How do you hurt your knee just sitting on your ass every day talking on a microphone?
You didn't see the aerial display I put on when I was younger. That's why I'm paying the price now, Charles.
Wait, didn't you go to Dayton?
Yeah. Like there was Air Dan before Air Jordan, just to let you know.
I don't remember Dayton making those deep runs in March Madness. Maybe I missed the Patrick era.
We focused on the NIT back then.
Oh, well, see, think about it, though, Dan. Thank God you got your education. If you had to just play basketball, you know what? You wouldn't be Dan Patrick, the TV legend. I
would have majored in being an athlete if I could have.
And you would have been poor and homeless by now.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Thank you, Charles.
All right, man. Thanks for having me. Have a great week.
All right. That's Charles Barkley.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.